This week, Mr. Speaker, 55 Labour councils have made a commitment for their areas to be run entirely on green energy by 2050. With the Paris climate talks just days away, will the Prime Minister join me in commending those councils, and will he call on all Conservative councils to do the same?
Well, I certainly commend all councils for wanting to promote green energy, and we've made that easier in our country by having the feed-in tariffs and the other measures we've had to help for particularly solar power and also wind power. Will be taking part in the Paris climate talks because it's absolutely vital to get that global deal, but we have to make sure that we take action locally as well as globally. And I would make the point that if you compare the last Parliament to the previous Parliament, we saw something like a trebling in the installation of renewable electricity.
Jeremy Corbyn.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The commitment of those Labour councils is a bit of a contrast to the Prime Minister's performance, because he used to tell us that his was the greenest government ever. Does he remember those days? Does he agree with the Energy Secretary that Britain is likely to miss its target of getting 15% of our energy from renewables by 2020?
Well, first of all, I believe that the last government does rightly claim that record. The world's first green investment bank, pioneered in Britain, a trebling of renewable energy, a meeting of all our climate change targets, contributing to an EU deal. That means we go to the climate change conference in Paris with a very strong European record and the ability to say to other countries that they should step up to the plate. Also, in the last Parliament, we spent record sums helping developing countries to go green, and in the next 5 years, we're going to be spending $9 billion on helping other countries, which will be crucial in building the Paris deal next week.
Jeremy Corbyn.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The problem with the Prime Minister's answer is that the gap between Britain's 2020 target and our current share of renewable energy is the biggest in the European Union. And some of his decisions he's made recently, such as cutting support for solar panels on home and industrial projects, scrapping the Green Deal, cutting support for wind turbines, putting a new tax on renewable energy, increasing subsidy for diesel generators. Is it any wonder that the Chief Scientist of the United Nations Environment Programme has criticised Britain for going backwards on renewable energy?
The facts paint a different picture. As I said, a trebling of wind power in the last Parliament. That is an enormous investment. And also, he makes the point about solar panels. Of course, when the cost of manufacturing solar panels plummets, as it has, it is right to reduce the subsidy. If we don't reduce the subsidy, we ask people to pay higher energy bills, something I seem to remember the Labour Party in the last Parliament making rather a lot of. I think if you look at the Secretary of State for Climate Change's speech, you can see the right balance between affordable energy and making sure we meet our green targets. That's what we're committed to. And in addition to that, building the first nuclear power station for decades in our country, something that the Labour Party talked about a lot in government, but we're putting into action now we're in government.